Barry Allen, known to the world as The Flash, stood at the starting line of the Central City Marathon. He felt like a lightning bolt in a bottle, surrounded by dedicated athletes whose warm-ups were, to him, slower than slow motion. The roar from the crowd was electric. Banners waved like a sea of good wishes. "Go, Flash, go!" and "Run for the community center." Every cheer was a reminder of why he was here. He bent down for a stretch, moving with the deliberate, almost painful slowness of a normal human. Every muscle fiber screamed at him to unleash, to finish the race before the thought was even complete. But he held back. "A marathon, Barry," Iris had said, her eyes sparkling with the brilliance of the idea. "Think of the money we could raise for the community center. You, the fastest man alive, running, slowly. It's the ultimate challenge." The media had a field day. The front page of the Central City Citizen blared the headline in giant letters, a question that echoed across the city and the world. To help, his friends at STAR Labs had designed special boots. They were heavy, lined with kinetic dampeners and a microcomputer that would warn him if he broke the speed limit. They felt like anchors. Commissioner Gordon had personally overseen the rules. No phasing, no speed vortexes, and you must stay within 10% of the average runner's pace, he'd stated, tapping a thick rulebook. "This is for charity, Flash. Play fair." Bang! The starting gun fired. For the Flash, the sound seemed to hang in the air for an eternity. His body coiled, ready to explode forward, but he forced himself to remain still, a statue of pure restraint. The pack of runners surged ahead. Soon the Flash, the fastest man alive, was jogging gently at the very back, the rhythmic thud of his heavy boots a constant reminder of his promise. His mind was a battlefield. One part of him saw the world as it should be, a blur of motion, a race won in a heartbeat. The other part saw the slow, steady pace he had to maintain. It was a paradox that threatened to tear him apart. A heads-up display inside his cowl showed his speed, a carefully regulated number that felt like a cage. 7.5 miles per hour. An alarm would sound if he went a fraction too fast. To fight the urge, he focused on the world outside himself. He looked at the faces in the crowd, the smiles, the laughter, the hopeful eyes of the people he was running for. Each face was a reason to keep going, slowly. The marathon course snaked through the heart of Central City, a 26.2-mile journey he could normally cover in the time it took to blink. Now it stretched before him like an endless road. He drew alongside another runner, a man breathing heavily but with a look of pure determination. "Keep it up," the Flash managed to say, matching the man's pace for a moment before inching past him. It was the strangest pass he'd ever made. For the first time, he noticed things. He watched a single autumn leaf detach from a branch and spiral gently towards the pavement. He tracked its entire journey down, a tiny, beautiful ballet he would have missed at any other speed. A group of children on the sidewalk held up a hand-painted sign. "Go, Flash, go, slowly," it read in wobbly letters. He gave them a wave, and their cheers were a fresh burst of fuel for his resolve. He was actually sweating. A single drop of sweat formed on his temple and began a slow, meandering path down his cheek. He had never felt this kind of exertion before. It was exhausting. It was human. The city unfolded around him in breathtaking detail. He saw the intricate carvings on buildings he'd only ever seen as gray blurs, the vibrant colors of window boxes, the life teeming in every corner. He spotted Iris in the crowd. She wasn't cheering loudly, just watching him with a proud, loving smile. She waved, and in that simple gesture, he found the strength to endure the final miles. But the struggle was real. A grimace of frustration tightened his features. Every instinct, every cell in his body screamed at him to just run. This wasn't a race against others. It was a war against himself. The marathon was more than a race. It was a global event. In the command center, organizers watched the crowd numbers climb into the millions, a logistical migraine in the making. Outside, the streets of Central City were a river of people, held back by massive barriers. The air crackled with excitement, every person hoping for a glimpse of their hero running at their speed. But not everyone was celebrating. "This is a mockery of the sport," a serious runner muttered, his focus on his personal best, not the spectacle jogging somewhere behind him. Barry, however, was discovering a new rhythm. When a runner stumbled ahead of him, he stopped. The world didn't end. He simply offered a hand, a small act of kindness made possible by his slowness. He approached a water station, a ritual he'd only ever seen as a blur. A volunteer handed him a cup. "Thanks," Barry said, the simple exchange feeling wonderfully, surprisingly normal. Flash. A picture, a fan yelled, leaning over the barrier. Barry paused, giving a slightly awkward smile for the camera. It would instantly become the world's slowest selfie. He saw another runner, weary and fumbling, drop their water bottle. Barry bent down, picked it up, and handed it back. The small gesture was a giant headline for the nearby news crews. The internet was having a field day. Phones lit up with memes, Flash's pace versus a strolling turtle, and, breaking, Flash stops to tie his shoe for 3 minutes. Suddenly, the runners ahead slowed to a halt. The course was blocked, not by a cosmic threat, but by a tipped-over delivery truck. Its contents spilled across the road. His instincts screamed to clear it in a nanosecond, but he couldn't. It would break the rules. So, for the first time in his life, the Flash had to wait in a traffic jam. He saw a new way to be a hero. He walked to the truck and started helping, moving boxes to the side of the road. It was a surreal sight, the fastest man alive, doing slow, manual labor. The miles and the constant restraint were taking their toll. Sweat beaded on his brow. His muscles ached with a deep, unfamiliar weariness. This was the hardest he had ever worked. And then he saw it, the finish line, shimmering in the distance. The roar of the crowd grew, a wave of sound to carry him through the final stretch of his impossible journey. He crossed the line not as a lightning strike, but as a man. His jog was tired, wobbly, and triumphant. 4 hours, 32 minutes. An eternity. A lifetime. The moment he was clear, he collapsed into a medic's chair, letting out a huge sigh. The world watched, delighted and amazed. The Flash was tired. The outcome was beyond their wildest dreams. The marathon had raised millions, securing the future of the community center and so much more. The next day's headlines weren't about his speed, but his heart. He had shown the world that he wasn't just a force of nature, he was human. In parks all over the city, a new game was born. Kids in homemade costumes raced each other in exaggerated slow motion, proving that true heroes don't always have to finish first. That evening, away from the crowds, Iris held him close. "I'm so proud of you, Barry," she whispered. "You won a race today that no one else could." Barry looked out at the city he protected. He had run his slowest race and achieved his greatest victory. He learned that heroism wasn't just about moving fast, but about being willing to slow down for others.